Oh, I just want to know your stance on abortion because I was just scrolling through your videos and I saw, you made a video in response to Charlie Kirk's stance on abortion. So I wanted to know what yours was because you didn't make. I didn't see it quite clearly in that video, but say if you
Uh,
could.
I would say I'm more so pro circumstance. So the main contention I have with like pro choice is like people potentially using it as a form of contraception, which I don't think that's how it's supposed to be used. I think if you're genuinely a situation where you cannot see yourself having that child, then I think it's reasonable to say, okay, yeah, what for whatever reason it might be. But if you're doing it because oh, I just don't want one, and I'm going to use it as a form of contraception whenever I get pregnant, and it's inconvenient for me. I don't agree with that. So that's why I say I'm pro circumstance. Sorry.
I mean, where this debate kind of falls is where you obviously think life starts. So if you think it starts, let's say, I don't know, 6 weeks or 10 weeks, before, then it wouldn't really be an issue if you use it as a contraception. You surely shouldn't have an issue with that if you don't view it as a living being with
Yeah.
the rights that a person would have.
Yeah.
So where would you think that personhood actually starts with a
So legally, we define someone to be dead when they are brain dead. So when their central nervous system is no longer functioning. So I believe that life begins when that central nervous system not only develops but is capable of like interacting with different parts of the body and is fully functional. So within fetus
24 to
development.
28 weeks? Is that the sentence argument? 24 to 28
Sorry.
weeks is 24 to 28 weeks is your line. Is it the sentence
Yeah,
argument?
that's around where peak development of the central nervous system is. So yeah, that's where I would say like
I mean, obviously, I think you mentioned this in your video, but that kind of runs into issues when you have, let's say, animals. Do to some animals, obviously, are going to have more sentience than a fetus at that age. So, would you value those animals above that fetus?
how does this relate to personhood?
Like,
Are you just asking me, or does this relate to personhood?
I mean, it kind of relates in a way. Let me ask you this.
Well, the thing with animals is okay. First of all, the whole idea of personhood comes from legal rights. So, like constitutionally, what we define to be a person. Animals don't have rights because we don't consider them to be a person. Legally, they don't have those rights. So we're talking about legally. Does someone have the right to abort a baby? And is this baby actually a person to the point that they have rights? I'm saying they're not a person because legally they're considered to be dead. They're not
It's not
considered to be
legal. I
alive.
mean, it's
Sorry,
a
not
law.
dead. Legally, they're not considered to be alive. So the conversation of animals doesn't really pertain to this because animals constitutionally and legally are not considered to have rights.
Yeah, but you're basing your personhood and the attribution of rights based on their conscious level and how conscious they are.
No, I'm basing it both. So I just explained to you legally, we consider someone to be
Yeah,
dead.
this is a debate of morality when you morally find
So yeah,
someone.
let me reiterate to you. So let me reiterate to you. Like I said, legally, we define someone to be dead, no longer alive, no longer a person, when their central nervous system is dead. Not when they're in a coma because their body is still awake. I mean, their brain is still alive, things of that nature. They still have the ability to deploy consciousness. They're still alive. We consider them to be dead when their central nervous system is no longer functioning and it is dead. So likewise, I think we should apply the same logic when it comes to birth and things of that nature and fetus development. When is the fetus? Is their central nervous system functional? It's not just about consciousness because the fetus doesn't really know it's conscious at 24 weeks.
Okay, but I mean, to be fair, regardless, this would kind of contradict your point on you said pro circumstance. I mean, if it's just circumstantial that it's convenient for them to have it any time before that, you shouldn't have an issue with someone getting like 10 abortions as long as it's before 24 weeks. So you're pro circumstance.
Well, the issue that I have with that is that abortion in itself is it's not a good thing, right? It can cause complications, whether it's because you're taking the pill to get an abortion or you're physically getting it removed. It's not healthy for your body. Coupled with that is it also should not be used as a form of contraception. So like I said, if, for example, something is like, I'm not... Again, your conversation was pertaining to when does life start. So are we talking here about what's the conversation now? Because you seem to keep shifting the goalposts when I address one of your points.
I'm not shifting it. It just seems...
Can we pick like one conversation? Like what are you
okay.
debate for?
Sure. So I just wanted to know your stance and to see if you're going to be consistent. So you said circumstance dependent is when you is what you consider whether they should be allowed to have an abortion or not. So is what you're saying that like who would decide?
Yes.
Pardon?
For the most part, yes.
Okay, so although you don't consider a fetus to actually gain personhood until what 20 weeks, you still don't believe that all women should be able to get an abortion before that time?
Yeah, again, because it poses medical issues. So, for example, if you're taking the pill or they're physically removing it from your body, it would pose it's not like something good for your body or something neutral. It's a problem if you're constantly like killing off a baby in your womb, right? And that's just the case. So medically, it is not productive for a woman to use it as a form of contraception. She should do it the healthier way, which is by getting an IUD or birth control.
Okay, so I mean, but at least if it didn't cause any bodily complications, you wouldn't have any issue with it, at least. But even in that sense, I don't know how you would like put that into law or make policies. Would you make a limit, or would you?
No, that's not. I mean, currently that's not something that we can like. How do I say like modulate?
I don't know. It just seems it just doesn't.
For example, it just has to do with education. For example, we can't stop people from spreading STDs because they don't use protection. We can't put a law in place. Like we can't sit there and watch everyone and make sure that they're all putting protection on when they have intercourse to prevent the spread of STDs. We can't do that. The best we can do is educate people and tell them what is best for them, which is to wear protection and make sure that both people are tested so that they can protect their bodies. Likewise, the same thing applies to abortion. You shouldn't use abortion as a form of contraception because it's not healthy for your body.
I mean, I don't think anyone's saying that, and I highly doubt.
But you're asking, that's not something we can implement legally, and I agree with that. That's not something we can sit there and watch and modulate in terms of like how people behave. We can't do that. I'm telling you that that's something that we would need to educate people on, is that there's harms in using abortion as a form of contraception.
So your stance is basically that, but you only have an issue with abortion if it, can cause harm to the, person carrying the fetus. Is that what you're saying?
If it causes harm to the person or to the fetus, but it cannot cause harm to the fetus until later because the central nervous system hasn't developed. So that's why I say there's no issue with
technically,
early on.
I mean, if they do plan on getting an abortion, you wouldn't care about any harm that you possibly cause a fetus. But
no, that's not true.
Well, that would have to be true because if they plan on getting an abortion,
you can still care about the harm. You can still care about the harm. It's not mutually exclusive things. You can still care about the harm and understand that the harm for yourself outweighs the harm for the child, and put yourself first.
You think
mothers don't have sympathy for
you don't consider it a child though until
you think women don't have sympathy. You think women don't have sympathy for what's in their womb.
Not if you plan on getting an abortion. I don't see how you'd have much sympathy for something that you don't even see as a person. You see how it doesn't really work out, or
Okay, so you think that's like a neutral or exciting experience for most women when they go and get an abortion?
I mean, that's kind of what you have to view it as. If you view it as, actual...
Okay, that's interesting. Well, I'm not really going to debate you on that. Anyways, is there... And I don't really know where we're going with this now because I've addressed your point. Are we going to shift the post again, or have you had your question answered?
I mean, you weren't really consistent, but,
No, I was consistent. I explained to you. Can you highlight where I wasn't consistent?
I mean, it just doesn't make sense how you say, it depends.
I mean, you feeling like something doesn't make sense doesn't make it inconsistent. So can you highlight where...
It's fine, though. It's fine. If that's what you
want to highlight, I'm asking you to highlight the inconsistency so I can address it for you. Because you keep saying I'm inconsistent, I've explained it to you.
I did a number of times. I'm telling you that what you're actually saying is you're basically pro-choice into a certain amount. This whole, it depends on the woman's health doesn't really make sense. And it's just like, I don't know...
Yeah, I can
wait.
What's your point?
Just because the fetus doesn't have intrinsic value that it gains when it gets consciousness doesn't mean it can't have an instrumental value. Just because you don't value it to be a person doesn't mean you can do whatever you want to it, right?
Yeah, it kind of does.
No, it doesn't.
No, it does not. Wait.
That's the whole reason why we still have ethical and legal. Wait. We still have ethical and legal who dropped Okura? Anyways, it's the whole reason why we still have legal ethical boundaries when it comes to animals or killing animals or raising animals or testing on animals. Just because we don't consider it to be a person doesn't mean it doesn't still have intrinsic value.
But that's a literal contradiction. If you don't consider it to a person,
Conversation,
that might quite
It can
definitely
have
mean it doesn't
instrumental
have
value.
any
The
Quite literally
conversation
means
here,
it doesn't have any value.
the conversation here is going to be about personhood. Why personhood? Because legally, what we consider to be a person is going to be in the Constitution. So that's why we're referring to that. We're not referring to intrinsic value. We're referring to what is referred to in the
Where do you think it comes
Constitution.
from?
We're
It comes from
referring
what
to
you
what is
value.
referred to in the Constitution to have legal rights.
Yeah, that doesn't address what I said. It doesn't have any value.
Okay, wait. Just to be clear. Okay, the baby or the fetus gains intrinsic value when it gets to personhood at 20, 24 weeks, whatever consciousness, whatever study you look at, right? Between 20 to
So
28.
before then, it doesn't
Before
matter
that, yeah,
what you
before
do
that,
to it.
no, before that, no. Listen, it has instrumental value to society. Okay, again, like she said, just because there's an animal that doesn't have personhood doesn't mean you can do whatever you want to an animal. You can't like you can't have sex with an animal, can you?
Yeah,
it has instrumental value.
So in this case, rights aren't going to be
value.
dichotomous. Rights aren't going to be dichotomous. Like, for example, like an intelligent being is always going to be prioritized over a non-intelligent being, right? That doesn't mean that the non-intelligent being doesn't have rights that are allocated to it, right? Like, so just because a fetus is devoid of the rights we give to like functioning humans doesn't mean that it's devoid of any rights at all. You know,
That's
just going to be a false dichotomy.
Fundamentally, I mean, it fundamentally does. We are at the point where
No, can you, sir? Okay, wait.
Like-
That's gonna require justification. You can't just say that. So, like, please provide your justification.
Are you telling me that a being or a fetus which is alive
You're saying that. Okay, hold on, hold on.
only has rights?
You're
to the
saying that
point where it's
prioritization
alive?
is
Are you telling
dichotomous.
me that it
Either
has a fetus which you can unalive and abort has any value? How does that? That's literal.
It can have. You just doesn't
Yes,
have
it
more
can
value
have
than the
value.
mother's
Yes, of
health.
course.
It doesn't have more. It just doesn't have more value than the bodily autonomy of the mother, but it can still have value.
Yeah, I don't see how that's a problem.
It doesn't have any value. If you're aborting,
Wait,
it doesn't
how?
have
Yes.
value.
You have to justify
just because
that.
the mother's life, just because the mother's life and the potential risks she can
Okay,
get
pause.
from
So
not
explain to
living
us.
baby.
Give us,
That's so
give us a logical
Value beings
justification.
which
Give us a
you can
logical. Give us a
unalive.
logical. Can I speak? Because I've been quiet. Give us a logical justification as to why you believe that it now has zero value.
Just to be clear, your dichotomy is either a being has value or it does not have value. That's your dichotomy. Do you
I'm
even
not
see how-
necessarily saying that my argument works even if that's not the case, because a being in which you value so little that you can abort it. or
Answer
even
your
animals
answer his
which
question.
are
Answer his
You
question.
realize that it's
That's-
measured against the
has
mother's
no
health.
value
It's measured
whatsoever.
against
Answer the
mother's
question,
health.
It's
answer
very
the question.
simple. I don't understand.
You didn't answer
You're not
any of our
making sense.
questions.
User, it's a
Answer any of
simple
our
question. It's a simple
Wait,
question.
can I just say one more thing?
Hold on,
Please.
everyone be quiet. So answer his question. Do you believe it's a dichotomy? And on top of that, give us your justification for why that is the case.
It fundamentally would be in this sense because, again, for example, if we take animals which we consume, if a living being, the fetus or the animal, is the societal level where it only has rights to be consumed and eaten or unalived, fundamentally you're basically saying that that being has no value whatsoever. Hence why
That is
Wait. So is it
What-
yes
realize-
or no?
realize
Is it
that
yes or no?
that claim
What
is
is it?
Relax, just
burdensome.
hold on one second. Let me finish.
Wait, no, you're already
Let them finish. Let them
you're
finish.
already airing. You're already
Ginger, let
this
them-
argument's already erroneous.
Just relax, calm down. But when it's at that certain point, where you can unalive it, you're basically saying it has no value, and meaning that however you treat it, it doesn't matter. It's very simple.
No,
No, it's measured against the mother's life.
This is not
you're
true. That's an
measuring
assertion.
against something else. That's what you're doing, right?
Just because you are willing to kill something doesn't mean that it is devoid of value. I don't see what the
That's-
So
that's-
if you kill a
that
cow,
is
for
very
example,
simple.
to eat it,
No, that is
that means
not-
it doesn't have, the cow doesn't have a
You
You
value.
would have
repeat
to
that?
listen, user. You would have to prove that to be the case. That if I murder something, then that now means it has no value or it never had value. That's
Let me
your
ask you a question. If
subjective.
you
That's your
unalive it-
subjective. That's your subjective definition. That's how you're defining it. I'm asking you objectively, like logically. How is that the case?
If you unalive a family member, do they have value to you?
They can still have, like Haji said, they can still have instrumental value.
serious?
At the end of the
No,
day,
you
and at
can't
the
be
end of the day,
serious.
at the
You
end of the
actually
day,
can't be serious.
at the end of the day, what you're asking
Yes,
me right now,
yes,
what you're
because-
asking me right now, can y'all be quiet? What you're asking me right now is subjectively does it have value to me? The conversation regarding to abortion is whether or not it has personhood legally and has value legally.
That's gonna come from whether it's.
All right, dude. I'm gonna dumb it down. Okay, I'm gonna dumb it down. Okay, I'm gonna dumb it down. Okay,
This guy's
watch, dude.
embarrassing.